Hello, my lovelies. It's Susanna, and today I want to show you how to solve this problem. The following system of equations is given. We can see our system of equations here. Can you solve it if the three unknowns are natural numbers greater than 0? So, in our system of equations, we have two equations, but three unknowns, A, B, and C. And usually you're not able to solve such a system of equations if you only have two equations but three unknowns. But we get some more information here about our unknowns. They tell us that they are natural numbers and that they are greater than 0. So we know a little bit about them, and that might help us to solve this system of equations anyway. So we have a plus bc equals 2024 and ab plus c equals 2023. So these numbers are pretty large, but actually there's only a distance of 1 between them. So if we would subtract these two equations from each other, then we would have 2024 minus 2023, which equals 1, which would be way better to work with. So this would be my suggestion for now, to just do that and see what we can do from there then. So let's subtract these two equations. Let's start on the left side. We have a minus ab. We cannot really simplify this, so let's just write it down. A minus, and then this part ab. Then we have the next part here, plus bc minus c. We also cannot really simplify this, so let's write it down as it is, minus the c. This was everything on the left side. And then on the other side, we have 2024 minus 2023, which just equals 1. Which was the reason why we did all of this, because the left side doesn't look that nice, but we can work with the 1. So let's take our equation and let's see what we can do with it. Okay, so on the left side we have a minus, plus, minus, which is not so easy to work with. It would be better if we had a product on the left side. So something times something equals 1, then we can really work with this. So how can we factorize the left side? I mean, we have a in here and a in here, but there is no a in the other parts. But maybe let's start there by factoring out a just from these two parts first. So that's a times, what is left in the parentheses then? We have a minus here in between. Here we have 1a. So if we factor out a, only the 1 is left here. And here, if we factor out the a, only b is left. Okay, this was the first part. Then we have our plus. And can we factor out something here as well? Yeah, we have a c in here and another c in here. So let's factor out the c of these two parts. What is left here in the parentheses? We have a minus here in between. Here, if we factor out the c, only the b is left. And here we have 1c. So if you factor out c, only the 1 is left. And on the other side, we still have our 1. Okay, do we now have a product on the left side? Do we have something times something on the left side? No, not yet. We have a plus here in between. We have this thing plus this thing. But we wanted to have a product. So can we factor out more? Can we factor out something out of here and the same thing out of here? Does something repeat itself in both parts? Well, it's not the a, but what about the parentheses here with the 1 minus b? If we take a look at these parentheses, it's similar actually, but it's b minus 1. So it's a little bit difficult to compare right now because here we start with a number and here we start with the variable. So maybe let's switch these two so that we can compare them better, so that we start here with a number as well. But we have to be careful because we have a negative number here. So if you switch these two, it is -1 first, and your b is positive, so we have plus b then. So this is what we actually have in our parentheses. And now if we compare these two, here we have a 1, here we have a -1, here it's a minus b, and here it's a plus b. So it's very similar, just the signs are different. If it's positive here, here it's negative. If it was negative here, here it is positive. But we can factor out a minus so that we don't have that issue anymore. So let's see what we can do with these parentheses. If we have -1 plus b in here, and we want to factor out a minus, what does this mean? Out of this part, out of the -1, we factor out the minus. So what is going to be left is going to be positive. So instead of the -1, we're going to have a positive 1 in here. And the same thing here, if it was positive, the plus b, and we factor out a minus, then this part is going to be negative. So always the contrary, it's going to be a negative b. If this feels a little bit uncomfortable to you, you can just reverse this step again and apply the minus to each part so that we would have -1, what we have here, and negative becomes plus b then. Okay, so let's apply this to our part here. We don't change anything with the first part. We liked it so far, but here, if we factor out the minus, then instead of the plus c, we're going to have a minus c, because these two come together. And in our parentheses, we have to change the signs, what we saw here. So we have the 1 and then the minus b. And on the other side, we have our 1. Okay, why did we do all of that? Well, we still want to have our product on the left side. We want to have something times something. And we wanted to see if we could factor something out of our difference now. And here we have the same element now as we have here. So now we can factor out these parentheses. So let's do that. We take out the 1 minus b. What is left then in our parentheses? We have the minus here in between. If we factor out the green thing here, only a is left. And if we factor out the green thing here, only c is left. And now we finally have our product on the left side, and we can work with this now. Our goal was to find our 3 unknowns, a, b, and c. We haven't used yet that they told us that they are natural numbers greater than 0. So a, b, and c are numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, but not the 0 because they have to be greater than 0. But if that's the case, that we have natural numbers, what does it mean then for this part, for 1 minus b? So for a natural number minus another natural number. What can happen here? Let's say if my b was 4, for example. So b is 4, then I have 1 minus 4 here, which equals -3. So if I subtract a natural number from another natural number, then I can get a negative result, but it's going to be a whole number still. So my element here is always going to be a whole number. So this is going to be element of the whole numbers. And the same with this part here. I have a natural number. I subtract another natural number. I know that the result is always going to be a whole number. So I cannot have fractions here, which means that I'm going to multiply a whole number by another whole number, and I want to get a result of 1. There are not so many possibilities that that is possible. It is either 1 times 1 itself, so it's a whole number times a whole number, which gives me 1. Or, because we're working with negative numbers here as well, we have to think of the -1 times -1, which gives me +1 as well as a result. But these are the only possibilities that I can get a result of 1 if I multiply 2 whole numbers. If fractions were allowed, we would have way more possibilities here. For example, we would have 4 times 1/4 as well, because this gives us 1 as a result. But the thing is that this is a fraction, so it's not a whole number, so this here is not allowed. Which means we only have these 2 possibilities, and we have to check both of them. So let's start with this possibility. If my first part is 1 and my second part is 1, could this happen? Let's see. If 1 minus b would be 1, what does this mean for my b? Let's solve for b. Maybe let's add b on both sides of the equation so that it's going to be positive here. We have 1 left. This cancels out. And on the other side, we have 1 plus b. If we want to solve for b, let's get rid of the 1 here. So we subtract 1 on both sides. 1 minus 1 gives us 0. On the other side, this cancels out, and we only have b left. b equals 0. Is that possible? No, it is not, because our unknowns should be greater than 0. So 0 is not allowed. So this whole scenario here doesn't work, so we don't have to try it more. We know that only this scenario can work, so let's try it. What happens if my first part is going to be equal to -1? So my 1 minus b is going to be equal to -1. Let's solve for b again. We add b on both sides so that we have 1. This cancels out. On the other side, this time we have -1 plus b. To solve for b, let's add 1 on both sides so that here we get 2. And on the other side, this cancels out and we get b. b is equal to 2. Okay, it's a natural number greater than 0. Could be. What about our second part here then? So a minus c has to be equal to -1 as well. This time we have 2 unknowns in our equation, so maybe let's solve for a then by adding c on both sides so that here we only have a left because this cancels out. And on the other side, we have -1 plus c. So we don't know yet what a and c really are. We know that b is equal to 2, which is good so far, but let's take this information. Let's go back to the very beginning where we had our original system of equations, and let's try and find a and c now by using these equations. Maybe let's insert into our first equation what we have found so far. So in our first equation, instead of a, I'm going to write down -1 plus C. Then I have the plus. Instead of B, I'm going to insert 2, so I have 2C here. And on the other side, we have 2024. And now we only have to solve this equation for C. We have 1C here plus 2C here, which gives us 3C. So instead of this, I'm going to write down 3C. To solve for C, let's get rid of the negative 1 here by adding 1 on both sides so that this cancels out. We have 3C here. 2024 plus 1 equals 2025. And to solve for C, we only have to divide by the 3 here so that this cancels out. And we get a result of 2025 over 3, which equals 675 for our C. And with this information, we can find our A as well, because A is -1 plus C, which is 675. So my A is 675 minus 1, which is 674, and we solved our problem. If you liked my video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me a lot. I wish you a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Take care!